For today's workout, it'll be a single kettlebell and body weight routine. Some exercises you could go a little bit heavier on, but the majority of the exercises should be a medium weighted kettlebell, something you can press from a kneeling position. If you do want to go heavier on any of the exercises, possibly the alternating swing would be an exercise that you could go a little bit heavier on, technique allowing that. So let's get into the explanation of the exercises here. So our first exercise on the board is going to be a figure eight pass. So when you're doing a figure eight, you're holding an athletic stance or athletic position. And when we do that, we want to push our knees out, so we put the stress on our glutes and our abdominals and take it off of our lower back. So just like it sounds, we're going to pass it in a figure eight pattern through our legs. It doesn't matter if you start in or outside. We're going to do 20 seconds each direction, and then you're going to switch. So as I'm doing this pass, I want to shift all the body or all of my weight to the leg I'm passing on. So you get a little bit of a rest compared to holding all the tension on that one leg. You want to keep your shoulders turned or pulled back, and you want to turn into each pass. I go 20 seconds one direction, and then 20 seconds the other direction. Okay? So a nice athletic stance on our figure eight pass. From there, we're going to put the bell down. We're going to get our feet about hips width. We're going to get a nice fold. We're going to put our hands on the ground, walk out to your tall plank position, down to your low plank position. We want to make sure we keep our pelvis tilted forward, glutes and quads nice and tight. Back up to your tall plank or push-up, and then back to our standing position here. So 30 seconds on your super plank, I'd recommend. From there, we're going to go to an alternating good morning. So more of a stretch for the hamstrings. So we're going to pick our kettlebell up, handle will be down. We'll halo it around our head. We'll let it slip into the small upper back area and get a hook grip on it. So this is going to push our chest forward. So one leg, we're going to alternate legs on each rep. So our quads and knees will stay somewhat parallel. One leg's going to be straight, the other knee is going to be bent, and you're going to sit back with your hips. So big chest on this, sit back with your hips. Your toe can be up off the ground, or you can plant it on the ground. But we're going to make sure we fold at the base of our spine. You're going to get a nice deep stretch in the hamstring in that front leg. So get as low as you can comfortably tolerate. Switch your stance. Quads are going to be somewhat parallel. Hips sit back. And again, you can plant your toes or you can lift them up. Whichever stretch you like better, we're going to alternate on each one. So if you got tight hamstrings, spend 40 seconds on this. Otherwise, it's pretty easy for you. Do it for 30. But alternating good mornings. Bring the bell back down or back around, put it on the ground. From there, a lot of people have trouble moving laterally, so you may want to do this unweighted, and you may want to do it supported with your hands on your upper thigh. But we're going to take a step out to the side, and we're going to sit back and down. This is a little different from your Cossack, because with the Cossack, you're trying to stretch out the interior of the legs. You are also loading the glute, quad, hamstring of the stepping leg. With this, really our focus is just loading up that leg, and this one just sits along for balance. So if you have mirrors, take a look. Make sure that your hip gets slightly below that knee if you can, but it's in each, so we're going to stay on the same side, 20 to 30 seconds. Sit back and down, inhale into it, fire out of it nice and quick. If you do want to load this, okay, put it in the rack position where you can hold it in a goblet style, either way. You got to make sure that that bell stays nice and tight to your body. Inhale into it, exhale up and out. So 20 to 30 seconds, one leg, switch sides with it, and then we're going to go lateral lunge the other side with it. So just make sure that you're moving well on those. Exercise number 5 and 6 are going to be combined. So we're going to do a knee down press. So that indicates the knee down is your pressing side. So when you're doing this, make sure your glutes tight, your hips forward, abs are engaged, and we get a nice full range press on this. Okay? So we're going to hit one side, knee down press. You're going to set the bell down. Before we go to the other side, we're going to hit some circular leg raises. So to do these, you'll be on your back. Your palms are going to be out off your torso about 45 degrees. Plant them nice and tight to the ground so your upper body doesn't move around. our first move is going to be to roll on either hip. Doesn't matter which way. We're going to make a big circle with our legs, and then we're going to alternate directions with these. So you roll to your hip, you bring your knees over your body the best you can. Bending the knees is fine, it takes weight off. We want to get our tailbone off the ground and get your hip to the other side, touches, legs straighten out. I'm back to my starting point, now I'm going to go the other direction. Keeping your legs straight adds a lot more weight to it, but make sure we do these well. So it doesn't matter if you bend your knees. If you do bend your knees, pinch them together. But when we do these, we'll make sure we get as big a circle as we can. And we get our tailbone off the ground in between each one. Okay? So ideally, we would inhale here, and then however long it takes you to exhale, that should match the duration of your circular leg raise. We're going to get back to our kneeling position, and we're going to finish the press on the other side. So make sure elbow comes back to your rib cage on these, and you get a full range of motion, a full lockout on those. That's number 5 and 6. Number 7, this is one, if you have a pretty good swing technique, you could go up on these, but we're going to switch hands when the bell is floating. That means when it's coming up and transitioning back and down, the bell is essentially weightless for a split second. That's when you want to switch hands with it. So feet are about hips width, we get our hips back, we get our bell a foot or two out in front of us. Make sure your shoulders pulled into its socket. You hike the bell back high in your hips, make your foot adjustment, and then switch hands at the height of your swing as it's transitioning. Inhale, exhale. After our alternating swings, we're going to do what's called crush rows. So we're going to get our feet nice and wide, almost sumo style. You want to get your torso close to parallel to the ground if you can. The wider your feet, the more you load up your posterior chain, better off on these. But handle's going to be down. I'm going to squeeze in. Bottom of the kettlebell is going to go right to your belly button. Okay, so make sure we're squeezing inward on it. At the top of it, make sure you pull your shoulders back on these. Okay? So these are crush rows. 30 seconds on your crush rows. After that, diamond push-ups or close grip push-ups. You can do these on the ground. You could do them on the ball of the kettlebell. You could do them on the handle. Okay? Any way we do these, we want to keep our legs nice and tight. Feet together make this a lot harder. Feet wider, give you a lot more stability. Okay? So just make sure we're getting as low as we can on these. Inhale in, exhale out. That little hip lift at the top. Pelvic tilt forward, helps you engage your abs a little bit more and just get a little more out of the same thing. And then after that, we're going to do sprinter lunges. That'll be the last exercise on the board here. A couple different ways you can do these. If you have really tight hip flexors, you would want to either hold dumbbells, get some yoga blocks, bricks, something like that. Variation number 1 would be bells close together. And we're going to get our shin vertical on each one. We're getting a nice deep hip flexor stretch on this back leg. So we want to lift our torso. And then we're just going to do a nice little jump switch. Make sure we get that shin vertical. Stretch out that back hip flexor. Some things you can do is oscillate, push this knee out, get a nice deep stretch in that hip. But when we switch, we want to use our triceps, our pushing muscles, our chest muscles, and our abs to switch our legs. So this is the version for our nice tight hips and limited range of motion. From there, if you're not too bad, you can go inside. A little bit more difficulty, but we still want to have the same landing. We still want to get that knee out, shin vertical, and then as you get better at these, hands to the ground, make it a lot more challenging. Okay, so those are your 10 exercises for this workout. Things you need to remember: always get a good mobility warm-up in, as much as you need. Always get a good cool down and stretch at the end. Always focus on breathing well and movement quality. So that's it for this workout. We'll see you at the next workout.